Welcome to this week's episode of The Better Half. I'm Kyndra de St. Aubin, and this is Katy Hartley, and we're going to take a look back at what's been going on this week.
Well, Kyndra, did you have a good weekend?
I had actually, you know what? My Sunday was fabulous. I had like an 8-course meal at the Cardinals game, and then I got to celebrate on the field with the team when they won. I mean, it was awesome.
That's awesome. Congratulations. As a Cowboys fan, I had a miserable weekend. Congratulations to the Cardinals and the Cardinals fans. Cardinals won 19-13 at University of Phoenix Stadium. I, however, may have misspoke last week. Take a look at my
Severely.
prediction. Take a look at my prediction from last week. I think it's going to be a slaughter. I think the Cowboys are going to dominate the Cardinals. They know how to score. The Cardinals don't know how to score. Kevin Cobb's going to be playing.
What's your prediction, though? Do you have an actual, I mean, you say slaughter, but what does that mean exactly in football score terms?
31-14.
What's the definition of slaughter? At least when it comes to the Cowboys. And, I mean, because you did say slaughter, and I was like, slaughter? They're going to slaughter the Cardinals? And you said yes, and then you gave your prediction. Not only was it a close game, but they lost.
So you were right. I was wrong.
We need that
I'm never going to say that again. I'm never going to say that again.
Yeah.
The Cardinals' defense looked great, I thought, and obviously Jason Garrett made a huge mistake by calling a timeout right as they were kicking the winning field goal. Do we really have to look at this again, people?
Well, they weren't kicking you mean when they kicked it the first time and it didn't count?
Yes.
Yeah, that technically would have been the winning field goal.
Yes, Kyndra.
But you're right. You know what he felt like? Maybe they just weren't ready to snap or whatever. I mean, it was still a long kick, but yeah, at first I thought maybe he blocked it, but he just completely shanked it.
Okay, so enough about the Cowboys' loss. Kyndra, was this a big win for the Cardinals? Was it the biggest win of the season?
I don't know if it was the biggest win of the season, but I think it was a huge win for the Cardinals, and more specifically Kevin Cobb. I mean, he looked pretty shaky in the first half, and I'm sure he was a little behind on the game speed, but second half he looked good. He scrambled. He completed some passes. They got some contributions from guys like LaRod Stevens-Howling. I mean, they call his number on that final play, which isn't a number you would expect to be called. So I think it was a really big win for them, confidence booster. And, you know, to win at home against the Cowboys when the Cowboys had won 4 straight, I think it was a big win for them. Morally boosting.
I agree with that. I don't think we'll see the Cardinals in the postseason, but so much for my predictions.
Yeah, really. You made a name for that. Didn't you have to eat a hamburger a little while ago, too?
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
At least you didn't have to shave your head.
But let's talk about the NBA schedule, which was released this week. A lot of controversy around the Phoenix Suns schedules, missing a lot of star power at home. Kyndra, do you think the Suns got gypped with this new schedule?
Well, I think the fans are really the ones who get screwed here because no Miami Heat, no Boston Celtics, no Orlando Magic. So all these names that you really want to see come to town, no Bulls, no Derrick Rose. I think the fans are the ones that really get screwed on this situation. Of course, the Suns, they still have to go on the road and play these teams, which isn't good for them. But ultimately, when these teams come to town, it's for the fans.
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough schedule. I mean, these guys are not messing around, and I think we'll see a clear separation of the guys who worked out during the lockout and the guys that didn't.
Yeah, they don't have a really lengthy training camp to really, get back into shape. And also, we talked a little bit before about the young guys and their legs. Are they going to benefit from this because there's so many games crammed in? Or the old guys, the veterans who've been playing in the same system together and not having to learn it, are they going to benefit? So that could maybe to kind of even each other out a little bit.
Another sweet story this week is Cam Newton of the Carolina Panthers giving away his 13th rushing touchdown football, handing it to a 16-year-old girl named Katie Brown. There she is right there. She had a shirt on that said Katie and Cam on the front and said Mrs. Newton on the back. However, a few minutes later, Cam had to go back and ask for the ball because, of course, it's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I just thought it was a great story. And the equipment manager had the terrible job of going back into the stands and, asking her for the ball. But she was totally cool with it, and I just loved the whole story. The fact she made this homemade T-shirt, her dad surprised her with the tickets. Cam had seen her in the stands earlier. That's why he gave it to her. But I'm sure she's understanding, and I guarantee she'll get more back in return than just that football from giving it back so nicely.
I think so, too. And she was interviewed a few days after, and she said, maybe Cam will take me to prom?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I think so, too. We both think you should go.
We'll see, though. We'll see. Who knows? You don't want it to totally detract from her whole situation. I'm sure she would love to have that attention.
Right. Well, one guy who didn't see so much love this weekend and who's really had a hard time sort of making a name for himself in the NFL is Tim Tebow. He is constantly talked about in the NFL. Kyndra, why do you think people hate Tim Tebow so much?
Well, I just think that people struggle with the fact that he is a really good guy. I mean, people have a hard time. I mean, you can't win, really. We talk about the guys that are always getting arrested, and we harp on them, and then you have a guy who doesn't do anything wrong, and people harp on him, and they want to bring him down. I think it's just because that people just don't like to root for people like this, and they feel like, you know what, he's perfect, I'm not, and they struggle with that. Almost like a jealousy thing.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you with that. I mean, we have the Michael Vicks and the Tiger Woods running around in the world, and we constantly criticize them. But what are we doing criticizing a guy like Tim Tebow? I believe that he makes people feel uncomfortable, that he makes people feel inferior about themselves because he has no qualms about his religion or what he believes in, and he will get down on his knee in an end zone and say a prayer, and he is fine with that and completely comfortable with it. And he is the true definition of not caring about what other people think.
And what's the difference when a guy gets to first base and they go like this and they point up at the sky? I mean, guys do that on every single time, every single play, basketball, baseball. So I don't know why they make such a big deal about with Tim Tebow. And you know what? His teammates don't care. As long as they're winning and they think he can make plays, that's all they care about.
Yeah, well, get on with your bad self, Tebow. We love you.
Bad self. Like
right, in a good way. In a good way. Well, we're out of time this week. Join us next week for another episode of The Better Half. Until then, you can follow her on Twitter at Kyndra620. You can follow me at FunKatie620, and we'll see you next week on The Better Half.